Welcome back. This is RT International. Let's get back to our top story now. In an almost hour-long end-of-the-year phone call, Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned his U.S. counterpart against escalating sanctions, while President Biden has made a pledge not to deploy offensive strike weapons to Ukraine. To discuss this and other issues that have shaped this past year a little bit further, we're joined live by a very high-profile guest, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó. Mr. Foreign Minister, certainly glad to have you with us. From your unique perspective, you can help us get a sense of what's happening this year. But let's start first with Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden. They spoke for almost an hour with NATO expansion and tensions around Ukraine and a focus of their talks. President Biden made a pledge not to deploy offensive strike weapons in Ukraine. So what do you think it means just days before high-profile security talks in Geneva, which come at a very complicated diplomatic time?
Well, good morning to you. First of all, I had a meeting yesterday with my Russian colleague, Sergei Lavrov, and he has briefed me about the plan at that time, because it took place yesterday, that the two presidents would talk to each other in the evening. I was very happy to understand this, because for us Central Europeans, it's extremely important that East and West, that the United States and the Russian Federation have a direct and continuous dialogue. We are very happy with the fact that the two presidents spoke again. We do believe that there is nothing which could substitute the direct discussion between the two presidents. We think that the more they speak to each other, the better they might understand each other, and the better they might understand each other, the better they can resolve all those issues which are like challenges in our region. We Central Europeans have a very clear lesson we have learned from history. And this lesson says that whenever there's conflict between East and West, that is bad for the Central European area. And whenever East and West has a good relationship, it is good for us in Central Europe as well. So for us, a direct discussion between U.S. and the Russian Federation serves our national security interests.
Discuss relations between Russia and the West without talking about NATO, of course. It's the elephant in the room. So Russia recently proposed a security deal in which it demands NATO stop expanding eastward. Do you think an agreement will be struck on that point?
Look, we understand that there's going to be negotiations between the Russian Federation and NATO as well. We are very satisfied with this fact also, because if NATO and Russia talk to each other, then there's a much bigger and better hope for any kind of common understanding and agreement about this part of the world. Look, we really do consider the security situation of Central Europe as a crucial issue for us, and anything that helps to resolve challenges here and ease tensions around the region serves our interest. So that's why we are really interested in successful negotiations between NATO and Russia at the beginning of next year.
We cannot talk about the past year or the past 2 years without talking about the global pandemic. COVID-19, it's on the forefront of everyone's minds. There's new waves coming up, new variants coming out. It has been a long time, though, since international vaccinations against COVID-19 began. Many countries have now made inoculations mandatory for at least some of their citizens, with penalties for those who refuse. What do you think about the idea of mandatory vaccinations?
Well, it had been on our agenda as well to see how we can further increase the number of those who get the vaccination, because we do consider it as the only solution for the crisis. We try to encourage all the Hungarians to get the vaccine. We have been kind of successful in this regard. Around 6.3 million Hungarians have already been vaccinated. We are in top 3 in Europe when it comes to the third shots. We were the first or second in Europe to reach the 60% rate of vaccination. That's why we could reopen our economy as the first country in Europe, with which we have taken a big advantage, and our growth rate at the end of the year will exceed the 6%, 6.5 maybe. So for us it's crucial to increase the number of those who have already been vaccinated, but we have not decided in favor of the obligatory vaccination. What we have done was that we have given the right to employers that they can make vaccination obligatory for their own employees. But on a national level, we have not made this decision. We try to encourage people. There are way enough vaccines in the storages, around 10 million, and this means that all Hungarians can get their first, second and third shot also. They don't even have to wait. There are some days when they can take part in the vaccination without registration. So, well, we have everything at disposal. Everything is offered to the people, and we hope that even without making vaccination obligatory, more and more of those who have not been vaccinated will show up.
Just a couple more questions. Can't talk about vaccinations without talking about Russia's Sputnik V, and the vaccine has still not been approved by the EU. Can you give us a little bit of a push, some help there?
Well, I do believe that the fact that Sputnik has not been recognized by the international organizations is purely a political issue. You know, when I talk to Western European colleagues of mine, they always tell me that, well, they all know that the Russian scientific community is outstanding. They all know that the Russian medical solutions are successful. They all know that the Russian vaccines are safe and effective, but it is being a political issue. Most of them tell me, of course, on a tete-a-tete basis and not officially and not openly. We in Hungary have a very clear experience. As I told you, more than 6 million Hungarians have been vaccinated. We have been using 6 different types of vaccines, including Sputnik, including Sinopharm, and 4 Western types of vaccines, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Janssen. So we have a very colorful experience, and I can tell you that none of the vaccines are worse than any other, meaning that all vaccines we have been using are safe and effective, including Sputnik. Sputnik performs very well in Hungary. A little bit less than 1 million Hungarians have been vaccinated by that, including myself. And Sputnik has contributed a lot to our successful vaccination campaign. I can just express my hope that the international decisions regarding recognizing Sputnik will be made soon, and I do hope that these decisions will be made on a professional basis without any kind of political approach. Unfortunately, so far my experience is different than my hope, but I hope that my hope will overcome the experience.
All right, now, and we don't have a lot of time, but lastly, Mr. Foreign Minister, the Russian president has awarded you with the Order of Friendship for your contribution to the development of Russia-Hungary relations. Firstly, I would like to congratulate you on that. And secondly, could you tell us how ties between the two countries are thriving?
Look, I'm very proud of this award, and I'm very thankful to the president who has awarded me, and to the foreign minister, the colleague of mine who has handed over this award to me yesterday. I can tell you that Hungary, the Hungarian people, the Hungarian nation have taken a lot of benefit out of the successful Russian-Hungarian cooperation. We can say without any kind of exaggeration that this year, 2021, was the most successful year ever when it comes to the bilateral relations. Two major crises have been managed by the Hungarian government by the help of a good cooperation with Russia. Namely, we were able to buy Sputnik vaccines, basically as a first country in Europe with which we could save lives of the people, and after long discussions we could sign the long-term gas supply agreement with Russia just before the energy crisis has broken out. So we have secured the gas supply of our own country, unlike some others in Europe or in the western part of the world. So these two major issues, adding to that a huge Hungarian-Russian project in Egypt, namely delivering more than 1,300 railway carriages to the Egyptian National Railways, which is the biggest order ever received by the Hungarian transportation industry. So if we had not put emphasis in the recent years on maintaining this respect and trust-based cooperation with Russia, regardless of all the negative global and regional developments, we wouldn't have been able to reach these successes. And these successes have been serving the interest of the Hungarian people, and this is the most important for me when it comes to the foreign policy strategy of mine, to serve the interest of the Hungarian people and not to please or satisfy international media, because this is not my number one goal, to be honest.
Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, it was a pleasure to speak with you today on RT International. Thank you.
Thank you. S Novim Godom. Thank you.